I greet you in Jesus' precious name. I want to talk to you today about shepherds and sheep. Shepherds and sheep. My late dad's brother was a shepherd in Scotland, and he was an amazing man. I loved spending time with him. I did my agricultural training in Scotland about 100 years ago. And I used to spend weekends with my uncle. And he was a legitimate, genuine shepherd. He had 6 sheepdogs, those border collies, the black and white ones, and he had huge flocks of sheep. You know, he never had much education because he was a very serious asthmatic. And so he didn't go to school much. He was always sick. And so he became a shepherd. You know that the sheepdogs got him his job. He was a very sought-after shepherd because his dogs worked so well for him. He could look after large flocks of sheep. And of course, he had a gentle spirit, a soft heart, and he was a wonderful stockman. And the sheep loved him. Now, we're talking today about the shepherd and the sheep. But the shepherd I'm talking about is the greatest shepherd that's ever lived. His name is Jesus Christ. Let's go in our Bibles to the Gospel of John, chapter 10, and from verse 1. Most assuredly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. There are many wolves in sheep's clothing today. That's why I'm bringing you this message. When you want to put your trust in a shepherd, make sure you know the shepherd. He does not come in through the window. A thief comes through the window. He comes in through the door. This is what Jesus is saying. Verse 2 says, but he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice. Folks, do you know the voice of Jesus? Do you really? I know the voice of Jesus, because I've heard that voice speaking to me for over 40 years. And it's funny, I can hear a man preach an amazing message, but sometimes I can hear that Jesus is not in that message because it does not resonate with my spirit. I know God because I spend time with God. I don't care if he's one of the most famous preachers in the world. If he's not speaking the language of the Good Shepherd, he's not one of God's shepherds. So he says the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name, and he leads them out. Since I've given my life to Christ, he has led me on a wonderful road. It's been difficult at times, but it's a road that's going to lead to eternal bliss and eternal peace. It's going to be an amazing destination. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. See, the Lord doesn't just let us go on our own. He goes before us, and he sets the way for us. And then verse 5. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. That's exactly what I've just said. If you cannot identify in your spirit with someone who is preaching to you, doesn't matter what everybody else says, doesn't matter what the crowd says, if you've got a check in your spirit, go back to God and check in the Word that what that man is talking about, you can line up with the Word. If you can't, leave him, because this is your compass and your direction finder. If it's in this book, you can trust it. If it's not, then leave it. Remember, the Good Shepherd will never leave you and never forsake you. Goodbye.